What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Giants. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, and the 2023 NFL Scouting Combine is almost over, and the New York Giants have been pretty active at the Combine, meeting with a lot of the top prospects, particularly at the wide receiver position. Now, we know going into this offseason, wide receiver arguably the biggest need for the New York Giants on their roster, and many analysts have them going with a wide receiver at the 25th overall pick in the first round of this year's draft. In fact, I think that they will be going wide receiver in the first round. So they're meeting with some of these top prospects at the Combine: Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison, and a few others. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that, dive into the news, and recap who all they met with and some of those testing numbers at the Combine, which are pretty impressive for a few of these top prospects. In particular, Zay Flowers really blew me away at the Combine this week. So we're going to go ahead and recap the Combine for the wide receivers and discuss the Giants' need at the position. But before we dive into all that, make sure to leave a like if you do enjoy this episode and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. But without further ado, let's talk about some of these wide receiver prospects. Now, the first one that really caught the headlines was Quentin Johnston, because the Giants met with Johnston and he had some cool quotes talking about the Giants. He said, quote, "I met with the Giants Wednesday and I'm meeting with the team again soon. It was a very welcoming staff. Had good talks with them. I for sure see myself in that blue with them, just like I did in high school." End quote. Now, if you didn't know, Quentin Johnston did wear blue, a shade of blue similar to this Fireside Giants hat or Fireside Giants t-shirt, or to the New York Giants shade of blue in high school. And he had his first meeting with the Giants and reportedly, according to him, is going to be having a second meeting with the Giants before the Combine wraps up. And I do think that's pretty interesting because Johnston is a hot name at the Combine. I mean, listen, this guy tested athletically at an incredible level. He didn't run a 40-yard dash, but if he did, I think he's saving that for his TCU Pro Day. But if he did run a 40-yard dash, a lot of people think it would have been close to a 4.3 flat. However, Johnston did do the vertical jump, a 40.5-inch vertical jump, and the broad jump, an 11-foot 2-inch broad jump, one of the highest of all of the receivers in this year's class. He looked like an athletic freak, and he measured in a little undersized compared to what people thought he would be. So he was initially listed as a 6'4" wide receiver with about 215 to 20 pounds. He came in at 6'3", a little under 6'3", actually, 6'2" and like a half or 3/4 or something, and 208 pounds. But he does have a ridiculous 33-inch wingspan, almost 34 inches, and 9.5-inch hands, almost 10-inch hands. So he's got some big hands, really long arms, and he put up some pretty ridiculous highlight level catches in the drills at the Combine. He was up there high pointing the ball. That is a knock on Quentin Johnston that a lot of analysts have, is that Johnston kind of plays like a small guy in a big guy's body, doesn't necessarily go up there, high point the ball away from his frame too often. Sometimes he'll body catch, but at the Combine, we didn't see any body catching out of Quentin Johnston. We saw a lot of spectacular fingertip grabs from the guy. So a really great week from him. He definitely earned himself some money at the Combine. And honestly, I think after those testing days yesterday, after seeing how he performed in all of the tests, I don't think Johnston's making it to the 25th overall pick. But Mel Kiper Jr. did recently mock draft Johnston to the 25th pick. He said, quote, "Johnston is the big, fast, and physical receiver they need," end quote. Drafting Johnston would give the Giants the vertical outside threat that has been missing from their offense if they were to land him with the 25th overall pick. But again, he put up 1,069 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns for TCU in 2022, and he just had a great NFL scouting combine. I don't think this guy lasts to 25 overall. If the Giants want this big 6'2/6'3" wide receiver with 4.3 speed and the ability to high point passes, I think they're going to have to trade up into the top 15 to land him. So Johnston had a really good combine. The Giants seem to be really interested in him, seem to really like him, but he's going to get a lot of interest around the league. He had a great week over in Indianapolis. Now, another player that the Giants met with is Jordan Addison out of USC. All of you who are regular viewers of the channel know that I love Jordan Addison. He is my number one wide receiver in the draft class. A lot of people do have Quentin Johnston as their number one wide receiver, but for me, it's Addison because I love his route running and separation ability. If you look at the Giants offense, what they really need is a true separator. Look at the Buffalo Bills when they traded for Stephon Diggs with Josh Allen. That's when Brian Daboll was the offensive coordinator. They got a true separator in Stephon Diggs, and Diggs did so much for that offense. Just having a receiver that gets open on a down-by-down basis really allowed really allowed Josh Allen to take that next step. And I think that's the effect that Jordan Addison could have on a quarterback like Daniel Jones, or whoever the quarterback might be in the 2023 season for the Giants. I don't know. That's a whole nother topic of discussion we'll probably dive into tomorrow, so stay tuned to that. But the Daniel Jones thing, who knows what's going to happen there? I think he's going to get the franchise tag, but again, we'll discuss in tomorrow's episode. But Jordan Addison is as NFL ready as it gets, according to Pro Football Focus. I agree with that. If you don't know, the guy played for two different teams in college. He was with Pitt initially, and in his 2021 sophomore season at Pitt, he won the Fred Blitnikoff Award. That is the award that goes to the best wide receiver in college football out of every team in the country. He had 93 receptions for 1,479 yards and a nation-leading 17 touchdowns for Pitt in 2021. In 2022, he transferred to USC, and he was still great, and he really proved to be, this is from the Draft Network, quote, among the most refined 2023 NFL draft prospects in this class. So not just wide receivers, but all the prospects. Again, this is a pro-ready guy. And he also mentioned that he did have a meeting with the New York Giants, and that he would be excited to play there, and doesn't think that the bright lights would get in the way, because he thinks transferring the bright lights of Los Angeles that he saw in USC to New York wouldn't be hard for him to succeed in that environment, is exactly what he said. And I like that. I think that he's got the right mindset. And again, this is my number one wide receiver in this class. If you haven't seen my film breakdown on him, go search for it on the channel and check it out. I think that he's the best receiver in this class because of his route running, but he's also got the ability to make plays after the catch, to make contested grabs. He is a really, really good receiver. I like Jordan Addison a lot, and I think he's a perfect fit for the Giants. But there's a couple other receivers that the Giants could potentially target with that 25th overall pick. Addison, like Johnston, I don't see him lasting the 25. Now, Addison didn't have exactly the best combine. He didn't blow anybody away, but he did have a good combine, I would say. He ran a 4.49 40-yard dash. That's okay at 5'11", 173 pounds. He never really was the fastest player in college. He didn't win with speed. He won with technicality, being a route technician, and really having the fundamentals to get himself open. But one of the things about Jordan Addison is he does have a pretty small hand size, 8-inch, 3/4-inch hands, 8 3/4 inch hands at 5'11". Again, only 173 pounds. Addison really needs to put on weight at the next level. 30-inch arms, almost 31. 1.56 10-yard split on the 40-yard dash, 34-inch vertical, 10-foot, 2-inch broad jump. That's pretty solid. But again, nothing spectacular in his measurables and his testing. But Jordan Addison, you turn on the film, you watch him play. He's polished. He's NFL ready. The only knock on him really is that he does need to add some size and strength to his frame. And I do think that he will once he gets the proper coaching. But my comparison for Jordan Addison is Devontae Smith. If you guys remember when Devontae Smith was coming out of college, elite route runner, a lot of production in college, but he only weighs 170 pounds. He's been very successful for the Philadelphia Eagles to start his career, and I think that Jordan Addison can have a very similar start to his career as well, and probably be even better depending on the situation he gets placed in. If he is the number one receiver for a team like the New York Giants, with Brian Dable, who knows how to get these separating receivers open and make plays, I think Addison can have a great start to his career and have a really long and successful career in the NFL under the proper coaching. But Jordan Addison, Quentin Johnston, those are the two receivers that the Giants met with to start the NFL Combine, the top two receivers on the draft board. So again, we know that they're targeting a receiver in round one. They definitely are interested in drafting a receiver in round one. But here's another player that they targeted, or that they met with, could be targeting in 25, or maybe at the end of round, or the beginning of round two, if they were to trade down or trade up, depending. But it's Jalin Hyatt out of Tennessee. Now, Jalin Hyatt just had an insane NFL scouting combine. He's 6 foot, 176 pounds, 32.5-inch arms, 9-inch hands, and he ran a 4.4 flat in the 40-yard dash with a 1.5 flat 10-yard split, 40-inch vertical jump, and 11-foot, 3-inch broad jump. Jalin Hyatt tested unbelievably well at this combine, and the Giants did reportedly meet with the Tennessee wide receivers. So Jalin Hyatt, one of the top wide receiver prospects in this class, it's possible that he could go 25th overall. I think that out of these guys that I just mentioned, these top three guys I just mentioned, Hyatt has the best chance of being available with the 25th overall pick. But again, a combine like that where he ran that fast, jumped that high, jumped that far, like, this was a great combine from him. And I think that there's a chance that Jalin Hyatt goes a lot earlier than people are expecting. But again, I really like Hyatt. I think he makes a lot of sense. We broke him down on the channel a little while ago. He reminds me a lot of a guy like Deshaun Jackson, lots of straight line speed, definitely needs to be refined as a route runner. There's a lot of room for improvement in his game, but you really have to love everything that he possesses in terms of being a straight line speed guy, a potential dominant WR2 in the NFL. I don't know if he becomes a WR1, but he could separate on those deep throws. He can get underneath any ball. And I really think that it is a limited route tree for him, a lot of slants, a lot of go balls. However, he has the ability to really be developed into something special, a very moldable piece of clay. So was Quentin Johnston, but again, I think he's going to go top 15. A guy like Hyatt, I think he'll be there on the board for the 25th overall pick when the Giants are on the clock. And I really like Jalin Hyatt. So if the Giants took Hyatt at 25, I don't think I'd be upset about it. I think he's more of a round 2 prospect because he's got a lot of boom or bust potential. I think in round 1, you want those guys who are a bit more of the safer pick, like a Jordan Addison. But with Hyatt, I think there's a lot of potential there. And if the Giants do take him with their 25th overall pick, I think I'd be happy about it, man. Tennessee product. He is a damn good player. Now, one other player that I want to talk about, there's 2 other players I want to talk about. The first of which being Zay Flowers. Now, I couldn't find it online. It's not confirmed whether or not the New York Giants met with Zay Flowers, but considering they met with these other 3 players that I mentioned, I have to assume that they did meet with Zay Flowers. But again, Zay Flowers is one of those players that really stood out at the NFL Scouting Combine. Now, Flowers ran a 4.42 40-yard dash with a 1.53 10-yard split. He had a 35.5-inch vertical and a 10-foot 7-inch broad jump. He was really solid, but the main thing about Zay Flowers, Boston College product, senior, coming out, he was very, very small in college. 5'9", so he's not really your prototypical outside guy, but he measured in at 182 pounds at the scouting combine. In college, he played at 170 pounds. He added 12 pounds of muscle to his frame. There's a picture of it online. Go check it out. He looks big, he looks bulky, he looks strong and ready for the NFL game. Zay Flowers, I really like him. He is rising up my draft board. He's got some good tape, and he did just have an awesome 2023 NFL Scouting Combine. And I think that he could be an absolute fit for the New York Giants with the 25th overall pick. I don't know if Zay Flowers could ever play the X. I think he could play the Z. I think this could be an outside receiver, especially now that he added that mass to his frame. But out of the slot, I mean, Zay Flowers is going to be dominant at the next level, in my opinion. Give him 1 to 2 years to develop. He's going to be a really special player, great route runner. And again, he's got some physicality on the outside. He really does for a guy his size. And now he just added a lot more size. I really like what Zay Flowers brings to the game. And I think that he could be a great pick for the Giants if he's there on the board with the 25th overall pick. But again, Flowers, great combine. He could rise up, potentially be a top 20 or top 15 draft pick. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait for April, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, one other player that I do want to mention is Jackson Smith in Jigba. Now, he had an okay NFL scouting combine. Again, didn't necessarily test the best, but no one really expected him to. If you watch Smith and Jigba in college, he wasn't really the fastest player on the field, but he, again, kind of like Jordan Addison, was a really good route runner, and he does have a lot of size and strength to his game as well. I think that Jackson Smith and Jigba maybe has the highest floor out of all of these guys because he is just such a good route runner and such a clean, polished wide receiver. 6'1", 196 pounds. That's the size and the frame that you really want from a guy like JSN. And 9-inch hands, 30.5-inch arms, 35-inch vertical jump, 10-foot 5-inch broad jump, 6.57 on the 3-cone drill, which is really impressive, and a 3.93 second 20-yard shuttle. Dude has a lot of agility, and it shows up on his film because he runs some of the meanest routes in this draft class. Jackson Smith and Jigba, again, I really like him. He's not the fastest in the straight line speed. I don't think that he ran the 40-yard dash. It's not showing up here on the NFL.com scouting profile. However, here's some measurables that I want to show you. I think this is really interesting. By the numbers, this is a comparison from NFL research of Jackson Smith and Jigba and Odell Beckham Jr. and how they both tested at their scouting combines. JSN 6 foot, Odell 5'11", weight 196 versus 198. 3-cone, JSN ran a 6.57, Odell ran a 6.69. On the shuttle drill, 3.93 versus a 3.94. They tested very, very similarly. Now, we know OBJ was honestly unbelievable as a rookie for the New York Giants, someone we're all familiar with, but Jackson Smith and Jigba has a lot of OBJ to his game, and I really like JSN, and he's a player, again, I think he probably goes higher than the 25th overall pick, especially considering he just put up one of the best short shuttles in this draft class. He looked so agile at the combine. And again, no word whether or not the Giants met with Jackson Smith and Jigba, though I have to assume that they did since they're looking at all of the top wide receiver prospects in this year's class. But I really like JSN, and I think he could be a good fit for the Giants at 25. A lot of people have him penciled in as a slot wide receiver. He's not going to be playing on the outside. I don't necessarily think that's true. 6'1", 196 pounds. I think with some time, he could definitely develop into an outside guy. But really, overall, I like all of these guys that I just mentioned. I don't think you can go wrong necessarily with any of them. I think I'd be pleased if the Giants picked any of these receivers. I think I went through 4 or 5 players here. 5 players, yeah. Any of these 5 players would be a home run pick for me at 25 overall. Now, there might be better players on the board at other positions. I'd have to look, see what's on the board when we get over to April, when the Giants are on the clock. But all 5 of these guys make a lot of sense for the Giants in one way or another, whether you're looking for the big physical outside guy like Quentin Johnston, the refined route runners of the world like JSN or Jordan Addison, or some of those boomer bust prospects who might be a little bit undersized, like a Hyatt who's skinny and fast, or Flowers who's short but really strong, has a lot of mass. Again, you can't go wrong with any of these guys. I like all these prospects, and it's really exciting to see that the Giants are taking a look at all of these prospects and meeting with them at the combine. I think that's really exciting. But of course, let me know down below who you like the most out of all of these wide receiver prospects. Again, for me, it's Addison, but I want to hear your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. Please make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this episode, and subscribe to Fireside Giants if you're new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode. We got plenty more great content on the way. But without further ado, I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Giants.